where we made ourselves very competitive to the open market in terms of affordability we offer our clients. As an indigenous Ghanaian company, our legacy is to help reduce the housing deficits we're currently facing. We intend to help reduce the housing deficit by building more homes across the length and breadth of Ghana. We're looking at putting in systems of mortgage facility. We're looking at using innovative ways to build, which will help reduce the cost of construction. And that is the legacy we want to leave as State Housing Company. Ghana is the best place to do business. It has the fastest growing economy in West Africa, according to IMF and the World Bank. Not only do we offer residential projects, we are also into commercial activities as well in terms of building warehouse industrial parks. We offer SPVs, we offer joint ventures, we offer partnership, and we are also willing to work with individuals who are also interested in partnering with State Housing for us to help develop their properties. At State House, we have all the technical expertise, the full team in terms of the QS, the financial, and the business development department to help us market your products. We encourage you as an investor, both local and foreign, to come on board to partner State Housing Companies so that together we can grow in Ghana and grow with Ghana.
I want to welcome you to the premises of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center for the first of this year's quarterly breakfast meetings, where today we'll take a closer look at technology transfer agreements and the benefits to Ghana's economy and so on and so forth. So my name is Joseph Hansen. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all. So we can continue to watch the screen where we'll play some of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center produced videos that give you an idea of the work that's been going on behind the scenes. And the next time I come, it will be to announce the presence of Mr. Yofi Grant, who will give us the official welcome address. Thank you very much. You're all welcome.
When we set up the Universal Motors in 2004, we registered with GIPC, and that was the reason was to represent Volkswagen in Ghana. So we were the importers of Volkswagen in Ghana. When the government came out with the policy of assembling cars or introducing the automotive industry in Ghana, we jumped on the occasion immediately and informed our principals, Volkswagen, who showed immediately a big interest, definitely after promoting Ghana, talking about the ease of doing business, about the center of the earth, if you want, as well, and as being the hub for West Africa and hopefully Africa.
On the global platform, we are really a giant. We're the #1 automobile company coming into the Ghanaian market. We are very optimistic and very quite confident that we are going to also boost quality cars and the standards also into a top level.
Our target is to reach every single, possibly every single client or user, driver in Ghana by introducing cars from the entry segment like the Polo or the Gold, going up to the top segments.
We build the cars here. We make it much more affordable because the government policy, which is supporting the importation or having also import taxes below, this makes it much more affordable to a Ghanaian market. And I would not advise that you will go back to Europe and import the same car here. You will get it here. It's the same brand, it's the same engine, same standard, and also same quality.
Most of the current auto industry manufacturers around the world, China, for example, or Thailand, or other countries around the world, started the way we started now as SKD and developed to be one of the major manufacturers of auto industry. So we are moving step by step, developing with Ghana into the auto industry.
The economy is boosting, people are spending, and this is also our surroundings around the sub-Saharan Africa. Ghana has been always been the lead. So we saw Ghana as a foot, the gateway that we have to step in.
We have employed new people, but at the same time, with the growth, many more people are being employed.
We enter in here with our partner, Universal Motors, who is having over 300 staff here. We have a new engineers or mechanics that they are even, I would say, they are now doing the most wonders now in VW industry in Ghana. They are building the cars.
It's a very good first step into developing the auto industry, and this is the best way, the real way to grow in Ghana and then to grow with Ghana.
Fellow investors, we have taken the lead. It's all about collaboration. We invite you, let's all get together, grow in Ghana, grow with Ghana.
Located at the center of the world, Ghana is the best investment destination in West Africa and ranks as West Africa's first in the Ease of Doing Business Report 2019. It was projected as one of the fastest growing economies in the world, with a growth rate of 6.8% in 2019, and has been declared as Africa's new bright spot after being ranked 4th in the world and 1st in Africa in the 2019 Global Retail Development Index. As the host of the African Continental Free Trade Area, Ghana is creating the linkages that will make it the gateway to Africa, aided by dynamic policies, a stable political environment, and strong economic fundamentals. It is a land of opportunities, offering businesses across many sectors the potential to flourish. The country is open and accessible to investors and the private sector, providing a peaceful environment and upholding the rule of law. The government of Ghana is confident and optimistic about the positive results in its investment drive through the GIPC. Ghana has 8 million hectares of arable land, well irrigated by a wide network of water bodies, making it a region ready for large-scale mechanized agriculture. The government and major policy planners recognize that expanding the agro-industrial base is the best path to develop. Ghana has put in place the right legal and regulatory framework to increase foreign direct investment. The Industrial Zones Program allows manufacturers and agro-processors to take advantage of favorable tax and duty incentives to produce for exports from Ghana into the EU and US markets. A rich cultural history and wonderful natural beauty makes Ghana a great tourist destination. The Year of Return Tourism and Marketing campaign in 2019 positioned Ghana as a key travel and investment destination for African Americans and people of the global diaspora. The year recorded significant increases in the number of visitors to Ghana. Ghana's growing consumer market is providing compelling reasons for investing in the services sector. The retail sector has been valued at $24.4 billion. A growing middle class with increasing purchasing power is creating demand for a wider variety of sophisticated services in healthcare, finance, and education. In the region, Ghana has one of the highest mobile penetration rates at 140%, with data penetration at 89%. The country has a thriving startup scene, helped by access to broadband internet that runs on fiber optic and 4G networks. The fintech industry is worth over $50 billion US. Ghana is an English-speaking nation Located in the center of the geographical world, with flight times from Europe or America averaging about 8 hours. Transportation networks in and out of the country have received enhancements in order to aid the ease of doing business. It has a new international airport terminal and an expanded port infrastructure. Tema Port is one of the largest in Africa, with a capacity to handle 3.5 million TEUs. The expansion in the economy is largely due to oil and gas development. Other sustainable sources of power, like solar, wind, and thermal, will significantly increase the country's energy resources. We invite you to share in Ghana's optimism, be part of the incredible opportunities we offer, and be open to the idea to grow in Ghana and grow with Ghana.
KKTR specializes in salvaging timber from Lake Volta, turning it into sawn timber products for export and charcoal from surplus timber. Ketekrachi's first full year of operations was 2018. The business was actually founded in 2015 and we started with 1 employee. At this point we have 120 direct employees. What we like most about this business is that it's a business that takes things that are a hazard, which is stumps in Lake Volta, and turns them into employment, revenue, and exports. I would say the biggest selling proposition is the nature and the source of the timber, because this timber comes from a reclaimed source as opposed to living trees that have been felled. And furthermore, because the trees have been immersed for 60 years, there's no sap left in them, so they're not attractive to insects, and they're lighter with the same amount of strength. The primary indirect impact has been we have removed stumps from Lake Volta that were a hazard to navigation. We've created employment in our local community. We've substituted timber that is salvaged for trees that were being cut from living forests.
I'm a native of Sedom, and I'm working here as a laborer in Ketekrachi Timber Recovery. Before I joined the Ketekrachi Timber Recovery, I'm a fisherman and a farmer. The income is not regular. So when the Ketekrachi Timber Recovery came, I was employed. We are happy that the company has come into our community and most of the guys are joining it.
I've been working here since 2016 the company started. Really, it has helped me a lot to have funds, revenue, to look after my siblings and then my grandchildren. We have about 120 employees at Ketekrachi Timber Recovery Limited, and we employ 80 to 90% from a Sojaman district.
For our CSR, we built boreholes in the local community, we funded the reconstruction of a clinic, and we supply fishermen with fishing implements. We have found bodies such as One District, One Factory and GIPC very helpful in resolving issues that are caused by problematic regulations, misapplied regulations, and the like. Overall, the experience has been positive and there's a lot of opportunity here. Ketekrachi is registered at GIPC, even though it is a locally owned business. And what we have found is they are very helpful with regulatory issues. Ketekrachi joined One District, One Factory because we are located at Sedom, which is a rural community, and the infrastructure here is poor. So 1D1F helped us by connecting us to the grid and by improving the local road network. Our goal is to make Ketekrachi Africa's largest producer of environmentally friendly timber. Ghana is a wonderful investment destination. Political stability, pro-business regulations. And I believe that this environment is one that should not be missed by international investors and also local investors. So come, invest, and grow in Ghana and grow with Ghana.
And 3-bedroom standalone units. We also have our 4-bedroom and 5-bedroom deluxe homes as well. You can get state housing at Tamale, Cape Coast, Sunyani, Kumasi, and we'll currently start very soon in Volta region, and of course the capital city Accra as well. We're helping build communities. By building communities, we're also creating jobs where we are giving opportunities to artisans to take part in our projects as well, and also allowing other companies to get involved in state housing. I think what makes state housing remarkable is the fact that we're a government institution, but we operate with a private sector mindset. There's no litigation issues when you're purchasing from state housing. We offer excellent customer service, and we build with quality materials, and our payment terms are very flexible. We offer mortgage facilities where we are working with other banking institutions where they offer excellent rates for Ghanaians to purchase homes in Ghana. I think looking at Ghana overall, we are experiencing good thriving economy in terms of Ghana being the gateway to Africa. We have a stable political environment as well, where we've been very peaceful. We haven't had any issues in terms of civil war in Ghana, so obviously it makes it a destination for investors to invest in Ghana, especially in the housing industry. I think another thing we have to look at is the fact that we're also thriving. We've changed the organization structure of state housing, where we made ourselves very competitive to the open market in terms of affordability we offer our clients. As an indigenous Ghanaian company, our legacy is to help reduce the housing deficits we're currently facing. We intend to help reduce the housing deficit by building more homes across the length and breadth of Ghana. We're looking at putting in systems of mortgage facility. We're looking at using innovative ways to build, which will help reduce the cost of construction. And that is the legacy we want to leave as State Housing Company. Ghana is the best place to do business. It has the fastest growing economy in West Africa, according to IMF and the World Bank. Not only do we offer residential projects, we are also into commercial activities as well in terms of building warehouse industrial parks. We offer SPVs, we offer joint ventures, we offer partnership, and we are also willing to work with individuals who are also interested in partnering with State Housing for us to help develop their properties. At State House, we have all the technical expertise, the full team in terms of the keywords, the financial and the business development department to help us market your products. We encourage you as an investor, both local and foreign, to come on board to partner State Housing Companies so that together we can grow in Ghana and grow with Ghana.
When we set up the Universal Motors in 2004, we registered with GIPC, and that was the reason was to represent Volkswagen in Ghana. So we were the importers of Volkswagen in Ghana. When the government came out with the policy of assembling cars or introducing the automotive industry in Ghana, we jumped on the occasion immediately and informed our principals, Volkswagen, who showed immediately a big interest, definitely after promoting Ghana, talking about the ease of doing business, about the center of the earth, if you want, as well, and as being the hub for West Africa and hopefully Africa.
On the global platform, we are really a giant. We're the number one automobile company coming into the Ghanaian market. We are very optimistic and very quite confident that we are going to also boost quality cars and the standards also into a top level.
Our target is to reach every single, possibly every single client or user, driver in Ghana by introducing cars from the entry segment like the Polo or the Gold, going up to the top segments.
We build the cars here. We make it much more affordable because the government policy which is supporting the importation or having also import taxes below, this makes it much more affordable to a Ghanaian market, and I would not advise that you will go back to Europe and import the same car here. You will get it here. It's the same brand, it's the same engine, same standard, and also same quality.
Most of the current auto industry manufacturers around the world, China for example, or Thailand or other countries around the world, started the way we started now as SKD and developed to be one of the major manufacturers of auto industry. So we are moving step by step, developing with Ghana into the auto industry.
The economy is boosting, people are spending, and this is also our surroundings around the sub-Saharan Africa. Ghana has been always been the lead. So we saw Ghana as a foot, the gateway that we have to step in.
We have employed new people, but at the same time, with the growth, many more people are being employed.
We enter in here with our partner, Universal Motors, who is having over 300 staff here. We have a new engineers or mechanics that they are even, I would say, they are now doing the most wonders now in VW industry in Ghana. They are building the cars.
It's a very good first step into developing the auto industry, and this is the best way, the real way to grow in Ghana and then to grow with Ghana.
Fellow investors, we have taken the lead. It's all about collaboration. We invite you, let's all get together, grow in Ghana, grow with Ghana.
Yes, so good morning to everyone, and once again a warm welcome to the new and improved premises of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, where we have been residing since late last year. A special welcome to all our invited guests, to our speakers who I'll introduce a bit later in the program, to the CEO, management and staff of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, to our partner agencies, the Registrar General's Department, the Bank of Ghana, and other invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. You are welcome. My name is Joseph Hanson, and it's a great privilege to formally open, if you like, the first of 4 breakfast meetings for this year. Now, this meeting focuses on technology transfer agreements. We'll take a closer look at it. We'll pay attention to their importance, to the importance of such agreements to Ghana's economy. And such platforms are key because it offers an opportunity for you to engage with stakeholders, and that forms part of the advice that the GIPC offers to government in terms of policy as we seek to improve the investor climate and business environment in the country. So first off, Seiram will join me on stage to give us the opening prayer.
you. Shall we bow our heads in prayer? Everlasting Father, we thank you for the gift of today. We thank you for this gathering. We pray for your presence for a successful event. And we pray that all of it will work towards the growth and development of our motherland, Ghana. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Yes, thank you very much, Serum. So we are indeed officially underway now that we've invited the good Lord to dwell amongst us. So we'll have 3 key presentations. The first will be by the head of legal, Mrs. Na Lamle Orleans Lindsay. She will speak on technology transfer agreements and provide you with more technical details, I guess. There will be a presentation by the Ghana Revenue Authority, and then the third presentation will be by the Bank of Ghana. So if Madam Lindsay is ready, kindly applaud her as she gives us the first presentation.
Thank you once again for honoring the GIPC's invitation to discuss TTAs, the eligibility requirements, compliance, and liabilities. I know the way the topic is written sounds very technical, like an academic lecture, but be assured we want to make it as easy to understand as possible and really encourage your feedback. We need your feedback to help us to work better and liaise very closely with our key stakeholders, the GRA and the BOG. So we'll start with the obvious. What is GIPC's role in TTAs? So the GIPC is a state agency, is set up under a law, and the law states very clearly as one of the functions of the GIPC to register, monitor, and keep records of all TTAs. And I'll be using the acronym TTAs for technology transfer agreements throughout the presentation. The GIPC Act applies to all enterprises in Ghana, which means that any enterprise in Ghana, let's say a company, which has any foreign shareholding is obliged to register with the GIPC, and the TTAs also apply to that company. This distinction is important because before 2013, our law applied to all enterprises apart from those in the petroleum and the mining sector. So before 2013, if you're in the petroleum sector or the mining sector, you had an agreement with your parent company or group company outside Ghana, GIPC had nothing to do with the registration of that document. Post 2013, with our current law, all TTAs, irrespective of the sector within which the company operates, are obliged to register with the GIPC. In addition, you know that our colleagues here from Bank of Ghana, they regulate banks. If you are an insurance company, you have a regulator, the National Insurance Company. You are a telco, you have NCA. Even if you have a sector-specific regulator set up under law that regulates your operational activities, and you have a TTA, that TTA must come to the GIPC. And we liaise with all the relevant sector regulators to make this as smooth transition as possible. So what is the animal, the TTA? And we'll make it very straightforward. So it is an agreement between two parties. And the geographical location of the parties are important. One party is in Ghana. It can be a Ghanaian company owned by Ghanaians, a joint venture, wholly foreign owned, it's irrelevant. A company is in Ghana, and a company outside Ghana, anywhere outside the Republic of Ghana. The two parties enter into an agreement. The company in Ghana is called the transferee. They receive the services. The company outside Ghana is referred to as the transferor. They provide the services. I would like to use an example of a company. Do we have any multinationals in the audience? Anyone from a company? Which company, please? SG. Okay, excellent. SG also has registered TTs with us in times past. So SG Ghana is in Ghana. SG is part of a group The group has several branches all over the world. So the SG Ghana, SG SA decided to enter into an agreement. Now, this agreement is what is registered at the GIPC, and these are the key factors that must be in place. So the agreement must be for a period above 18 months. So if you have any agreement that's less than 18 months, nothing to do with us. However, that agreement is a one-time agreement. You can't renew it, you can't extend it, it's one time. If your agreement is above 18 months, you have to come to the GIPC. So the initial duration of an agreement must be any period between 18 months and 10 years. And if it's going to be renewed, it's 18 months to 5 years, and you can continue to renew it if you satisfy the requirements. Now, what should be in a TTA? What does it cover? We normally call them 4 baskets of services. It doesn't cover goods, only services. So to use the SG example, so SG needs some services. It needs to use, let's say, the SG trademark. SG has a prominent logo and a trade name. And let's say the parent company wants to charge them for it. That will come under industrial property. So trade names, patents, trademarks, industrial designs that companies in Ghana use. And I'm sure you know many companies that use the national brands. If they have to pay for those brands, those are TTAs that have to be registered. So whether it's to do with food, it's to do with earth-moving equipment, it's to do with a bank, it's to do with a manufacturing giant, all these agreements must come to the center. Then technical expertise. This is very wide-ranging. You need legal expertise, not for Ghana law, but you need legal expertise to comply with global international standards. You need audit, you need HR, you need some particular IT software that is done bespoke for your company. That is technical expertise. Then we come to know-how. Know-how usually applies to companies in the manufacturing sector. There's probably a formula or a manner of doing things that is not patentable, but it's proprietary. Then the last is managerial services. So to use the SG experience again, SG may need some very experienced expert staff to be seconded to the Ghana office. And the Ghana office has to pay, not their salaries, but to pay the parent company for seconding the management staff to Ghana. So many companies you are aware of have management staff. The CEO, the CFO, the COO is an expert. That's a non-Ghanaian, seconded from the parent company to manage the company in Ghana. That will also be the subject of a TTA. So if any of your agreements fall within these general baskets that we have explained, you have to submit your document to the GIPC for registration. Now, 2 main laws cover TTAs. The GIPC Act that was passed in 2013, that's the most current version of the Act, and our regulations, which were passed in 1992. Both documents can easily be found on our website, or just go Google, just put in GIPC Act or the regulations. You find the full Act on many sites. Now, when people submit their applications to the center, we often say that the applications must be in compliance with the GIPC law. What do we mean by that? The 2 laws that we have mentioned have set out in extenso specific provisions that must be in the agreement and provisions that must not be in the agreement. That's what the law basically says. So you have to have A, B, C, D, E, and then you must not have E, F, G, H. So I'll give an example. The law says that if the services are available in Ghana, they cannot be the subject of a TTA. So the point of the law is that we encourage companies to seek services from outside Ghana, which they will pay for, if it's not available in Ghana. And this is a point that many companies have some difficulties with, because they bring their agreement, and then to use law, for example, they say, well, we need support for our litigation, we need support for our tenancy agreements and agreements with suppliers. We need expertise to help us to file our annual statements. We've seen we need company secretarial services. I would argue, if you want company secretarial services, even under the current Companies Act, there are lawyers, there are professionals who can take minutes at your board meetings. You do not need to pay a third party outside Ghana to help you to take minutes at your company meeting, nor to prepare your accounts, nor to help you to do general recruitment, or to help you to do your payroll. So if the services are available in Ghana, we will respectfully decline to register the agreement and ask you to go back and insert services which clearly are not available in Ghana. I want to make it clear, it's not the expense that is the issue. So some may argue, well, if I use a Ghanaian accounting firm, they'll charge me $1,000 an hour. If I use my parent company, we are a group and it's more convenient for economies of scale and for harmonization for us to use the group accounting services. The law is not about how expensive it is to get it in Ghana. The law just says if it's available in Ghana, it cannot be the subject of a TTA. And that issue is governing law, which it's always very interesting when we say that the law says that the agreement governing law should be Ghana law. And we've had arguments going back and forth with foreign lawyers who are very insistent. Well, we want the agreement to be the law of England and Wales. We want the law of the state of the UK. We want the law of New York State. We want the law of Australia. The law says that it's an agreement between a Ghanaian company and a foreign company, and the governing law must be Ghana law, which also means that when you have copious references to other countries' laws in interpreting the agreement, unfortunately, because of the way our law is written, it must be Ghana law throughout. However, you can choose to use arbitration or another court in another country. So long as if you take it to the UK, you go to a London arbitration tribunal to use Ghana law. So you're not obliged to use the Ghanaian courts, but the governing law must be Ghana law. So you can take it to any other country you want if there's a dispute, but the governing law must be Ghana law. Another thing is a training schedule. The law says that in providing the services to a local company, we expect that the local company's personnel are given the capacity to also absorb and understand some of the technology. But it's supposed to be transfers, so it's like you're an arrow moving from outside Ghana to inside Ghana. Now, depending on the type of services, there will never be a complete transfer. For example, it's a trademark. If it's a trademark, the trademark will not be assigned to the local company. It will be probably an agreement going on almost indefinitely, so long as the two parties are using the trademark. But for other services, we expect that the local staff are trained in using technology, and you must include a training schedule. I mentioned another quick one, which I'll talk on later, is the fees you can transfer. The law says that the transfer must be based on a particular computation and particular thresholds. And then another one is about taxes. Many times, these agreements will say, well, the transferor in France says that, well, I want my full pound of flesh, or basically I want all my fees. Don't take out a cedi or a pesewa or a cent for local taxes. Local taxes are borne wholly by the local company, so gross it up. Meaning if the fees cost, let's say $100, the foreign company will say, I want the full $100. If there's any taxes, well, you gross it up, meaning the local company has to pay for the taxes. And usually the person providing the services should bear the cost of the taxes. But many agreements say no. And the law says that if it's on royalties, the transferor must pay for the taxes. So that means you send the money less, and the money is paid to the GRA. So in summary, this is to show what we do at the GIPC. So I'm starting from the top, moving clockwise. So we'll review the agreement, and we'll discuss what we mean by reviewing the agreement. We'll register the agreement. We keep the records of the agreement, and the records we also share copies with the Ghana Revenue Authority and the Bank of Ghana. We monitor the agreement. We have a monitoring division that monitors the agreement. And monitoring means thus: the agreement has a long list of services provided. It has fees to be paid. We register the agreement and we'll revert to you on a yearly basis or even less, asking you, SG, for example, you said you were getting service A, B, C, which you have paid for. Can we see proof that these services have been provided? The fees you have paid, we want proof from certified auditors that the money sent out is exactly per what is in the agreement. Your training schedule, we want proof. How many local staff have been trained? That's an ongoing process, and companies are supposed to submit to us on an annual basis detailed reports on how the TTAs were implemented. Now, when the TTA expires, you may decide to renew the TTA, which we do, and then the cycle starts all over again. Now, what is the procedure? So if you go to our website, it's a very good website, has lots of information on it. All our forms are on our website. Download the TTA registration application form on our website, and in the form, it has sample documents which have to be attached to the agreement. It has a sample training schedule, which I spoke about earlier, and a sample forecast of fees, which you use as a guide to submit. It also has a list of documentation that should be added to the application. It's all in the form. So you download the form, complete the form online or by hand, and submit it to the center with an application fee. It's $11,760 for initial applications and $17,640 for renewal applications. This can be made by banker's draft or by a direct bank transfer. Now, the processing time is approximately 4 to 6 weeks, and we get many questions from clients. How long will it take you to get back to me on my application? Now, these are contracts. So they are not like registrations of the GIPC, which is a form that you fill. So some contracts are 6 pages. Some contracts, I'm not exaggerating, can run up to 100 to 150 pages. And you're obliged to read every single word in the agreement. So we give a time of approximately 4 to 6 weeks for applications in good order, meaning all the T's have been crossed, all the I's have been dotted, it's in compliance with the GIPC Act. If it's not, we'll return the application to you with a detailed legal opinion, and we try to make it as detailed as possible, explaining in detail that Section 1, this was the issue, do this to remedy it. Section 2, this was the issue. So we'll give you exactly what was remiss with the application, which section of the law we are looking at, and which section of your documents we are looking at to guide you in order to make the document compliant. So we send the document back to you and you resubmit it. Now, if it goes back and forth and it's all done, there's an approval fee that's to be paid. So there are 2 fees: a standard fee upon submission of the application, and approval fee upon everything being in good order. And not everybody that starts at the beginning ends up at the end. So when we get to the end, the fee is dependent on the duration of the agreement and the amount of fees to be transferred. And this also on our website. It's a long schedule which has fees ranging from up to $500,000 per annum to over $10 million per annum. And it's all ranked. So it depends on how much you are transferring and the duration, and we can tell you what the fee is. And you can check on the website yourself to determine how much the approval fee would be. I spoke earlier about thresholds under the law, which sometimes a cause of concern for many companies. Now, what happens invariably is that this agreement is usually, over 90% of the time, drafted by foreign lawyers. Most of the time, the third party or the parent company or the group company has a template it uses for all its subsidiaries around the world. It's done in New York or Switzerland or Russia, wherever, and many have know a little idea that the Ghana has a specific regulation on these TTAs and about how much money can be transferred under these TTAs. Now, as you can see, the law doesn't say you can transfer a specific sum. It doesn't say you can transfer only $1,000 or £5,000. It's based on the net sales of the local company. So, for intellectual property, so for trademarks, trade names, and the like, choose any figure between 0% and 6% of the net sales made by the local company. If you are in services, it's basically your net income. If you're providing goods, it's your net sales. Technical assistance, you see, goes 0 to 3%. Know-how, 0 to 2%. Management, 0 to 2% of profit before tax. All on the local company's revenue generated. So you're obliged to take a specific figure, and many issues come up because the agreement that was probably drafted by foreign lawyers, signed outside Ghana, would mention another base of computation, or would mention a specific sum of money to be sent out every month. That's not an issue, but whatever figures you choose, it must be within these thresholds, and you must state in the agreement the specific number. That's 5%, 2%, 3% of profit before tax. Then if you have number 1, 2, 3, 4, that is, you are providing for all these services in your agreement, it can't go above 8%. So you'd have, some would say, okay, I'll take all the upper margins of the percentages, 6 plus 3 plus 2 plus 2, and charge it. The law says no. If you have all the services, you can't go above 8%. Now, the law also recognizes that there may be some unusual situations where the services are very novel, it's a very new industry, and they may need to charge more. The law says that in the event that you need to charge more than these thresholds, make a separate application to the GIPC justifying why you want to go above these thresholds. And what do we look at? We'll look at the industry in which you work. So if SG is a bank, there are many banks in Ghana, they'll be operating in the banking industry for decades. And SG says, well, I want to charge higher than these thresholds. Would ask you why. But we have other banks who have registered their documents with us within the threshold. So SG has to justify what it's being is supposed to be received from the parent company that's so unique or bespoke or novel that requires a higher threshold than what is provided here. So many companies will ask, so what happens if I don't bring my document to the GIPC? And it's of concern to us because there are so many companies, local companies, multinational companies with several lawyers and accountants on their payroll, or lawyers and accountants who are on retainer, who say, well, I didn't know there was a TTA law that we should comply with. And then we go, well, the law has been there since 1992. So ignorance is no excuse. So what happens if you don't register the agreement? The first thing is that the agreement is not enforceable, and that is actually written in the law. So practically, to use the SG example again, if SG enters into agreement with the parent company, and then a dispute arises between the two of them, depending on who brings a dispute, the other party can say, well, the law says it's unenforceable, therefore that's it. So if there's a dispute, an issue arises to do with the agreement and go to court, it's possible the court will say, well, the agreement wasn't registered, and the GIPC law says that if it's not registered, it's unenforceable, therefore the whole agreement that probably is value of millions of dollars is unenforceable. The second is, our law says very clearly that if you transfer fees which are not under a vested agreement, this transfer is not legal. Yes, you might have gone to your bank and transferred it, but it is illegal. And most companies will be sorely embarrassed for it to be known that they are transferring fees outside Ghana for services and illegality. And at the moment, we are continuing our education to make sure that companies understand their obligations, such as this forum. But as time goes on, the GIPC may take a harder stance against companies who transfer fees, and we know they do transfer fees, and unregistered agreements. And then offense and penalties would also come on board. I went to non-registration. Let me go to registration. So if you register your agreement, it's applicable and it's enforceable, you're transferring fees outside the country, you don't get any offenses and penalties slapped on the company, and the embarrassment of it being known that you are a company registered in Ghana or operating in Ghana, but actually transferring money to the country illegally. What are the challenges to TTA registration? And I'll go for GIPC and also for our clients. For the challenges, one of them from the GIP perspective is that, as I mentioned earlier, many companies claim ignorance of this legal obligation. And as we said, it's been an obligation that's been on our books since 1992. Therefore, we hope that you rely on your lawyers, on your accountants, and your professionals to help you to comply with all the relevant laws, including the TTA law. So many times when we get the agreement, immediately it's not going to be in compliance with Ghana law, because it's drafted by foreign lawyers most of the time. We also find out that in companies who are within a multinational setup, their parent companies are quite unhappy that there's a law on this, because the issue is that not all countries have TTA laws, particularly companies who are FDI exporters, or countries who are FDI exporters, companies which export services at a high level. They are exporting and not so much importing services. We are largely FDI importers and service importers. So you find that this is more a phenomenon in developing countries more than developed countries, which have these. Nigeria has legislation, so does India and a few countries on TTAs. But it's not a common phenomenon. So many are taken aback that there's actually a law which is telling us what to do or not to do in our agreement. So we find that companies in a group have parent companies unhappy about these agreements, and because they have a template that's supposed to go across all subsidiaries, they are reluctant to tweak one of their agreements to suit Ghana legislation. But we tell them that, well, if you want to operate in Ghana, you must comply with Ghana legislation, and therefore we'll help you to tweak the agreement to make it compliant with Ghana law. Then another challenge we face is the length of time. Now, because many of these agreements, some of them are fairly voluminous, some can be complicated, some are part English, part German, or this mixed with English and another language, or the person who drafted it, there are two legal systems, common law system and civil law system. The lawyer is, let's say, a French lawyer. So interspersed in the agreement are French terms. I don't speak French, so I have to go and figure out what does he mean when he uses this French word in the agreement. Obviously, the agreement is not going to be registered when it's filled with foreign terminologies in language. So we have some of these challenges when we are registering the agreement, so it takes longer because of some of these issues. Then when it comes to renewals, under the law, we need the approval of two regulators, the GIPC and a sector regulator. So if the company is SG, we need the approval of Bank of Ghana and GIPC. If it's MTN, we need the approval of NCA and GIPC. So sometimes the regulator would say, you know what, we know this company in this sector, it doesn't need these services. Reduce the duration, reduce the services. And then the company is unhappy and we go back and forth. The company is arguing that I need the services. The regulator says you don't need the services. Sometimes you have lawyers flying down to Ghana to argue the point that we need the services at this money. GIPC, the regulator says, from our expertise in the Ghana field, no. So sometimes the renewals can take a length of time because you need two written approvals from two regulators to have it approved. For our clients, we have some tips that we think would be helpful to make the process more seamless, more efficient, less painful. We don't take any pleasure in frustrating our clients or delaying the process. We are here to facilitate investment. That includes facilitating the registration of TTAs. So from my experience, what we advise is, when you are setting up your company and you know you're going to rely on some services from outside the country, whether from an independent third party or from your parents or from your group, you should know that GIPC law is likely to apply, and inform your parent company or your group or the third party in advance that our agreement will have to be registered by the GIPC so that they are aware of the existence of this legislation. Another thing, I'm not holding court for my fellow learned friends, but for many agreements which are slightly complicated, it's helpful to recruit local lawyers who understand local legislation to assist you to bring these agreements in compliance. But it's about Ghanaian law. So Ghanaian lawyers or any other professionals who have understanding to assist you. If it's a simple agreement or it's not overly complicated, the GIPC can help you directly, and we won't charge you consultancy fees. So unless if your agreement is complicated, please rely on local professionals to assist you. If it's not overly complicated, we can assist you directly, and we're not going to charge you consultancy fees for that. We'll help you to bring it in compliance. The third is early submission. More often than not, agreements that come to us sometimes have been in operation for 4, 5, 6, we've seen 10 years, where they were going swimmingly along, and then somebody said, oh, GIPC registration, and they bring the agreement to us. And then they put you under pressure. When can you register the agreement? We need it now. And we tell them, number one, the way the law is written, it says that the commencement date of the agreement is the date that we register the agreement. So generally speaking, if we submit the agreement, let's say 1st March, we go through the process, finalize it on 31st March. Mr. Grant, the CEO, signs certificate on 31st March. That's the date the agreement starts. Meaning that services that you have enjoyed in the past, a year ago, 2 years ago, fees that you have paid or have accrued cannot be sent out. And I repeat, if we cannot backdate the agreement, but the law says that the commencement date is the registration date. So some companies say, well, we apologize for not bringing the agreement we've had for the past 5 years. Can you backdate the certificates to go back to 2010 or 2015? We're unable to do that. But the law says commencement date is the registration date. So generally, unless there have been some significant delays occasioned by the GIPC itself, the date that it is signed by the CEO is when it starts. That's why we emphasize submit as early as possible. So as soon as you start operations or you get into a franchise agreement with a foreign company to use their trademark or their trade name or their services, please submit the document to the GIPC. Even if it hasn't been signed, but it has been generally concluded on, you can submit it to us so that when we sign it off, you can have the parties execute it. Then contact us for assistance. We are very happy to help you out. You can send us emails, you call us on the phone, we can have meetings, and you say, well, this is what we are looking at in our agreement. Will this provision work? Won't it work? Will this drafting work? What about the fees? We are very happy and very open to deal directly with companies to make the agreements compliant. You don't always need middlemen and agents to help you to do it. Please contact us directly and we will help you to bring your document in compliance. So I'm almost at the end of the presentation, and what's the way forward? The first thing, and it's not here, is that we admit that the regulations, I said it's 1992, so obviously it's quite old. And if you read it, you realize the mindset of 1992 is not the mindset of 2021. So we are in the process of reviewing the regulations, and we'll count on feedback from all of you to help us to make it reflect best practices. In the meantime, we try to understand the circumstances of our clients, and as far as possible, make sure that the agreement is within the spirit of the law. What I mean is that you may have a rather interesting arrangement with your parent company. The law is silent on it. We will seek to understand your company, how it works, and together make sure that it complies with the spirit of the law so that it is registered. So the law itself is under review, and we try to have some flexibility where we can to deal with situations where the law did not envisage, so long as we meet the spirit of the law. And then we have very strong collaboration between ourselves and our key stakeholders. This includes Regional Department, Bank of Ghana, and the Ghana Revenue Authority when it comes to registration and the monitoring processes. And my colleagues would probably throw more light on how we work together to make the TTA process work. For example, transfer money to the banking system. The Bank of Ghana, we go to work with them to make sure that banks are aware that one, they themselves, if they have agreements with their parent companies, register the TTAs. And number two, their own clients who use the banking system transfer these monies. They ask the clients to show proof that these transfers for management services, technical services, and so on have under them a certificate from the GIPC showing that this document has been registered before they allow their banking systems to be used. Then we continue to improve our processes when we get feedback from stakeholders to improve our efficiency. That is how quickly we review the TTAs, getting back to clients on issue their TTAs and mention the TTAs. So that's why we invited you here to understand how the TTA framework works and to also get your feedback, your criticisms, proposals for improvement. We welcome all these in very good faith to help us to give you better service as investors in Ghana, whether local investors or foreign investors. So that brings me to the end of the presentation. After my colleagues make their presentation, we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, Nan Lamle, for that. She's the head of the legal division at the Ghana Investment Promotion Center. So now we have a clear idea of what TTAs are, how they are administered, and the role that other stakeholders have to play as far as the process is concerned. Now, a special greeting to our online audience who are on the various GIPC platforms, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. And for those of you here, we have a hotspot available. The name of the spot is Ghana on the Go, and the password is GIPC 2021, all small letters. And now made mention of us needing feedback from you. By us, I mean the Ghana Investment Promotion Center. So on all the chat sections of our various virtual platforms, kindly put your questions there. We will answer them during the Q&A session, as well as take questions from those of you here physically. This being a hybrid event, given the current situation we are in. We couldn't have everyone here physically. So now we move on to a key stakeholder, and that's the Ghana Revenue Authority, represented here by Ms. Nane Ekuya-Mensah, and she'll be speaking on the tax implications of failing to register a TTA. And she'll speak for approximately 10 minutes.
Thank you very much. Na has actually covered almost everything, so I will be very brief with my presentation.
Casaprecon is a total beverage company. We are manufacturers of both alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages. Casaprecon is at a growth stage. What I want to say is that we are continuously improving upon our products and also increasing our markets outreach. So currently we are looking at the local markets, and we have a broader focus with the global market as well. We can boast of employing over 600 workers at the Accra branch, and currently the Tanaso factory is looking to employ over 300 employees. This creates job avenue for those in the private sector. Also, you know of our favorite brand, Awake, whereby with every bottle that you buy, 1 peswa is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center at Kolebu. This is aiding in improving upon the health lives of people over there. We also have projects that has helped in creating of water supply to regions where water availability is much difficult to come by. Casa Precon is a wholly owned Ghanaian company, and our success is based on the stable economy that is here currently in the country, the rich supply of raw materials, political stability, as well as the market size. So looking at all of this, this has made Casa Precon a success story that is encouraging to other companies that would want to pick it up. The Ghana Investment Promotion Center has been a backbone to our success story, in that apart from being part of the Ghana Club 100, which has made it a brand publicity for the company, it has helped boost up our market's recognition. And this has promoted the brand in all other aspects of the country in terms of sales and profitability. We've had tax exemptions on some of the things that we have to import, including raw materials and then equipment. This has made the easy flow and then running of the company and cutting down on would-be costs we could have generated, all thanks to the GIPC. When the president of the country came out with a very good initiative that was focusing on developing the public and private sector to both large-scale industries and small-scale industries, we took advantage of that to see how best we could also improve upon our market reach in the country. When we joined the 1D, 1F, we were given wonderful packages that enabled us to meet up to deadlines in setting up of the factory. Some of these included tax exemptions on some of the equipment and material that we needed to develop the factory. Also, the 1D1F project enabled us to facilitate certain registration purposes that needed to have been done. And with the help of the 1D1F, we're able to improve and facilitate upon all those registration needs and legalities that were involved. We here in Casa Precon, we believe in product development. So what we do is that we have a market research team that works hand in hand with our R&D department. So with good customer service relationships, we're able to hear the feedback from our consumers. And what we do is that we tailor our products to meet the needs and demands of our consumers. The legacy Casa Precon would like to leave behind is we would want to be recognized as a manufacturing company that produces safe, quality, and affordable beverages, both alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages, with exceptional customer service for all the brands that we produce currently in the country and on the global markets. Dear all investors, both local and foreign, we would like to use this opportunity to encourage you to invest in Ghana, partner with companies such as Casa Precon, so that as one, we can grow in Ghana and grow with Ghana.
So, hello? Okay. No worries. So I'm just going to quickly go through implications of failing to register a technology transfer agreement. You know. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah, go to the next slide. Yeah, so you can move to the next slide. Okay. So we've already been educated on what exactly a technology transfer agreement is. Now we'll be talking about the implications of it when it comes to taxation. Now, the agreement is between two entities, one which is a foreign entity and one which would be a Ghanaian entity. And it would involve a transfer. So that means there will be either a sale or a rental or some kind of transference of property rights and then a fee or a charge. And in that instance, this will give rise to some tax implications. Now, the agreements are, or the registration or the regime for the agreements are governed by the GIPC Act and the transfer pricing regulations as well. So because of the fact that it has tax implications, we have certain provisions within our tax laws, both the Income Tax Act and the transfer pricing regulations, which govern how technology transfer agreements are registered. Now, one of the major implications generally from registration is the fact that once you have transferred a good or transferred an asset in Ghana or to a Ghanaian entity, there will be a fee that will be paid. And one of our primary regimes in Ghana is what we call withholding taxes. So once a payment is made to a non-resident for a service or for a good, and the agreement is deemed to mean that a foreign entity is trading with a Ghanaian entity, then you have to withhold taxes on any payments that you make. Primarily, technology transfer agreements deal with technological services, management services, and these are all services that are governed by withholding taxes. So the Ghanaian entity, the local entity here, would have to withhold taxes on all the payments it makes under the technology transfer agreement. This is one of the major tax implications from these agreements. Now, where there's a double taxation agreement in existence between the country where the foreign entity resides and the Ghana, then the rates at which we withhold will be different. So the standard rates for services in Ghana now are, however, if your foreign entity is in a country where we have a DTA, then you might have a reduced rate, and then we will tax you at that rate. Another aspect that is relevant is where the two entities that are engaged in this agreement are related entities. This means that maybe the foreign entity is a parent company of the Ghanaian entity, or they are both associated entities. That means they both have a common shareholder. If that is the case, then transfer pricing comes into play. And what is transfer pricing? Transfer pricing is basically a tax regime where when related entities are engaging in any kind of transaction, we take a look at the terms of that transaction to determine whether the transaction is done at arm's length. So if two entities which were not related were doing the same transaction, would the same terms be applied or similar terms be applied? Now in Ghana, our transfer pricing regime is governed by our transfer pricing regulations. We recently passed new regulations in 2020, and they had implications for technology transfer agreements. Now, one of the main requirements for transfer pricing is that you have to keep documentation, what we call contemporaneous documentation. It means you keep what we call a master file. That is a file on all the relevant operations of the foreign entity in Ghana. And you keep what we call a local file. And this is a file on all the operations or all the transactions that have related party effects in Ghana. This is actually quite involving for a local company to keep. And under the new transfer pricing regulations, we put in an exemption or an election that a local entity can choose to do away with keeping these documentations under specific conditions. We call this a simplified approach. Why is this relevant for TTAs? Where there's a TTA between a foreign entity and a local entity, and they are related entities, transfer pricing will come into play, and they can take advantage of this simplified approach if they have registered with the GIPC. This is one of the major characteristics for taking advantage of the simplified approach. You have to have registered your TTA with GIPC, because as we explained, or as we heard in our previous presentation, it is only through registration with the GIPC that you give it the legal force that it requires. So that is when we can recognize that agreement, and then you can benefit under the simplified approach. Now, once you benefit under the simplified approach, you would also have to pay attention to the fees under which you can charge. And they have to be 2% of the earnings after interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. Now, this is similar to the rates that the GIPC has for registering TTAs. However, when we are applying our transfer pricing rules, we pay attention to make sure that primarily your terms are at arm's length, which means that if you were not related parties, you would still have similar terms. Now, it's key to know that you cannot take advantage of this simplified approach if you have not registered. And this is one of the major or the most important effects of registration when it comes to GRE. Another point is that even when entities have not registered with GIPC, as now pointed out, sometimes they still manage to, undergo these agreements and transfer money. And if you do that and you're coming to GRA to file your taxes or to deal with us in any way, as part of our collaboration with GIPC, we take note of these entities and we try and communicate with GIPC to let them know that we have these institutions who are undergoing these transactions, and we do not believe, or we have not cited a GIPC registration for their TTAs. And this is very, very important because this is a monitoring function that we are undertaking as part of a standing committee with the GIPC. We realize that by the time that an entity has gone through the vetting process of registering their TTA, you find that there are a lot less issues with the TTAs that come to us for tax purposes. And because of this, and because of the similarities between the work we do and the work that the GIPC is doing, we always encourage entities to make sure that they have registered with GIPC. One, because if they are related entities, they cannot benefit under the simplified approach until registration. And two, because then it makes them more compliant and it makes it easier to administer the taxes that we need to obtain. So primarily, this is my very short presentation on what the effect of TTAs being registered with GIPC are with the GRA. And hopefully, if there are any questions, I'll take them during the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nanekia. Thank you so much. We'll just move quickly ahead to the Bank of Ghana presentation by Mr. Danso. Please, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name, as mentioned, is Philip Danso. I'm standing in for Mr. Osei Jesse, the head of banking supervision. Yes, we are required to speak on implications of transferring funds without a registered technology transfer agreement. In other words, we are to speak on the illegality of fund transfer, which has been established by my colleagues who preceded me, that when you transfer funds, because you are required to register your TTA, and so it will be unlawful not to do so. Since NA has already gone through what TTA is and all that it requires of it, we will run through to our slide on why is the Bank of Ghana an interested party. We prepared these slides with the notion that we want to draw participants' attention to the fact that when you don't register your TTA, it's unlawful, and anything that's unlawful is an offense under our laws. So we try to give some basic provisions in the laws of Ghana. The Criminal and Other Offences Act, we cited it, what crime is. Any act that is punishable by death, imprisonment, or a fine. Then we also went to the Constitution, which gives Article 1911 talks about no person shall be convicted of a criminal offense unless the offense is defined and the penalty for it is prescribed in a written law. So once the GIPC Act 2013 Act 865 has made it clear to us that when a technology transfer agreement is not registered with the center is unlawful. And to that extent, transferring funds under it too is unlawful. Why is the Bank of Ghana interested in technology transfer, registration, and non-registration, the transfers, the runner? Because the Bank of Ghana has a constitutional mandate, which is spelled out in Article 183, to promote and maintain stability of the currency, the Ghanaian currency. It's a constitutional mandate of the Bank of Ghana. And you know the impact and effect of foreign exchange on the local currency. In other words, when you are transferring funds in a manner that is not structured, in a manner that the system doesn't reckon, it may have adverse impacts on the local currency. So the Bank of Ghana is interested. And as a regulator, the Bank of Ghana's approval is also required before a renewal of a registered TTA. That's two institutions that the Bank of Ghana regulates. But because we are stakeholders in this respect, GIPC on their own will always share with the Bank of Ghana other TTAs signed by other institutions other than those that the Bank of Ghana regulates. And that is good for statistics, and that is good for data, because attached to the TTA is a schedule for payments, expected fees and charges, which the Bank of Ghana would reckon, would take note of, so that as the period, we all know that the beginning of the year is when companies might have prepared their audited accounts, determined their profits, and paying some of these fees and charges so that the necessary funds will be made available in the economy. Transfer of funds under unregistered technology transfer agreement breaches not only the GIPC Act, but also the Foreign Exchange Act and the guidelines and notices that the Bank of Ghana has issued thereto. And also importantly is the Anti-Money Laundering Act 2020, Act 1044. Now, we want to scale into the topic that has been given to us, which is implications. The slide before. No. Yes. As our colleague from GRA has mentioned already, we didn't intend to speak to this point because we knew GRA will speak to it, but we indicated it in our slide so that when you have this, you will know some of the consequences or the implications of unregistered transferring funds under unregistered TTAs. It leads to tax evasion and thereby denying government the requisite revenue. Facilitates commission of money laundering. It facilitates the commission of money laundering as an offense. The Money Laundering Act, Section 1, subsection 2, says a person commits an offense of money laundering if the person knows or ought to have known that property is or forms part of an unlawful activity, and the person, among others, converts, conceals, disguises, or transfers that property. We want to establish a point here that when you obtain funds from unlawful source, and the unlawful source is the illegal source that you might have accrued the funds that you want to transfer, because you are required to register your TTA and you haven't done that. In other words, you are not entitled to charge those fees and charges. You are not entitled to. And so we respectively would deem it as an unlawful funds obtained from an unlawful source, because the source is unlawful. You have not registered your TTA and you are transferring funds using probably the provisions of the LI at the blind side of the GIPC. It undermines healthy competition among enterprises. You may not probably understand this. When two businesses, enterprises, let's say accounting firms, are bidding for a contract and one is transferring funds through an unregistered TTA. In other words, there's no withholding withholding tax. It has not probably declared those funds, and the other one is paying. So that other one which is paying will not, let's say the two of them realize the same profit. This one is paying, has registered its TTA, and as such, the fees that it will be transferred or the charges that it will be transferred will be subject to withholding tax. This other one is not doing that because it has not registered the agreement, but is benefiting or wants to accrue benefit from TTAs. So when these two enterprises or businesses are bidding for a contract, because this other one has already gotten a way of recouping funds that it is not entitled to, and this one is also sending net of that, because whatever amount that is gotten under the TTA is taxed. So this one will be the one that is not registered and is accruing fees and charges, transferring it offshore, will be lower because it has already been making some funds by the side, unknown to regulators and then stakeholder institutions. It also facilitates illegal exploitation of currency, because people or institutions, enterprises might not have registered their TTAs and want to accrue this revenue that is obtained from the fees and charges. They may not even use approved sources to send those monies outside the jurisdiction. That's why sometimes you, at the ports of entry and ports of exit, you find people carrying huge sums of money concealed in their luggages. Some of these have been obtained from unlawful activities like not registering TTAs. It also engenders the depreciation of the local currency, as I mentioned earlier. If you are transferring funds that the Bank of Ghana, you have not registered your TTA, for GIPC to share your TTA with the Bank of Ghana, so the Bank of Ghana will have your tentative schedule of transfers and make allocation, because every economy is structured. The Bank of Ghana is working with data, and as such, most of these unregistered TTAs, they obtain their forex. They will rather go to where the para market, the black market, to obtain their forex, to transfer them or convey them out of the currency, and by this it will have adverse impact on the local currency. And where the transfer is also being conducted even through the banking system, banks are required, as part of the transfer documentation and information, source of funds, purpose, all those ones must be indicated. And this may induce bankers to compromise, because if it's asking you the source of the funds and it's arising from TTAs which have not been registered, fine. You may not want to disclose that this is transfers under a TTA arrangement. So you want to conceal the source of those funds. And so it may compromise the banking system to breach processes and procedures by probably giving it a narration that doesn't suit, that doesn't reflect the true source of the funds. And could also have adverse effects on the country's foreign reserve. All these things, all these factors that I mentioned, they've dovetailed into each other, because once there's depreciation of the currency, once there's illegal exportation of the currency, the Bank of Ghana may be called in to support the system with Forex, and we get this from our foreign reserves. What do we say then? In conclusion, we want to recommend that there should be effective monitoring. All stakeholders must cooperate, collaborate, and coordinate efforts to ensure that the incidence of technology transfer agreements that have not been registered and funds being transferred under them is reduced to the minimum. And we also recommend that when such corporates, institutions that might not have registered their TTAs and seek to transfer funds, the appropriate sanctions should be exacted and should be proportionate and dissuasive. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, sir, for that succinct presentation. So now we have a clear idea of what TTAs are and the role that the GRA and the BOG play in their administration. So now we turn the microphone over to you, literally, as we take some of your questions. We'll start with those gathered here. And we also will move online shortly, where we have over 200 people witnessing these discussions. Now, we will be, this is a good time to launch our first feedback poll, and that's for those who are participating virtually. So focus on your screens right now. The first question comes up in a few seconds. Kindly answer it. And then I will pose a second and third question a bit later. But for now, it's officially time for our Q&A session. So let's have your questions. We'll take them in perhaps batches of 3. So if you have a question, kindly raise your hand and a microphone will be brought to you.
All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Wisdom Pano of Deloitte. Thank you for the presentation and for putting this together. I have 2 questions. The first one is the TTA registration process is generally seen to be administratively burdensome. From where I work, I get to meet a lot of investors, existing companies and all that. And when you bring up the issue of registering with TTAs, either they've had an experience before, so they don't want to go through that again, or you put out the requirements and it's generally seen to be very difficult to go through. In fact, there have been improvements over in recent times, but then we still have quite a long period from submitting applications to getting reviews and then going through the whole process, which can take about a year. So my question is, what is the GIPC doing to smoothen the process a bit more so that people are encouraged to comply with TTA registration? Now, the second one is we understand a new regulation has been in the working for some time. When is it coming up? And if the work is still ongoing, are we looking at a convergence with the transfer pricing regulations? Because the pricing methodology in the TTA as we have now is not in sync with current transfer pricing methods. So whether you are looking at having a convergence with the transfer pricing regulations. Thank you.
So thank you very much. My name is Michael. I'm from PwC. I have a couple of questions. Thereafter, I'll put across some suggestions. Yeah. In dealing with the GIPC over the past years, we've come across some situations where agreements are drafted. Yes, we understand, we know that the governing law is the law of Ghana, but you'd also find clients including in their agreement some other international laws that govern their subsidiaries in other countries. For example, the FCPA, that's the Foreign Corrupt, how do you call it? The Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, and Anti-Money Laundering Act. Of course, we also know that Ghana has Anti-Money Laundering Act. So how do we marry these? We've come across a situation where I think some of these laws have been inserted in the agreement, and I think it was objected to. But we should understand that once a subsidiary is in Ghana and the laws of the holding company affect subsidiaries, there's little that we can do by ignoring some of these things. So maybe I would want some kind of clarification from the GIPC on this. And then when it comes to the registration of trademarks, we know that these trademarks are supposed to be registered here for the GIPC to accept them. Sometimes we present a certificate that they are registered, but the GIPC will ask us to go and do, let's say, certified copy. And sometimes, which also delays the process and lengthens the time. Would the GIPC not accept at least evidence of this registered trademark and then make an annotation on a copy that probably would be supported to the main trademark so as to lengthen the time? So GIPC, please, you may want to take a look at these. And then also, I think there is a particular case that has come up. It's a public information, so probably I can mention the name of the client, BSDOV. Probably the GRA may be better placed to comment on this. On the BSDOV case, I think it went to the court and they said, well, the client could accrue for it so far as they have actually received the service. But clearly, this agreement has not been registered. And so I overhear the head of legal service saying that an agreement that has not been registered cannot be accrued. But the court said they should. So how do we deal with such? It's actually causing confusion. So please, we need clarification on this so that we'll be able to be helping our clients that will come, to us. And may I suggest to the GIPC that like other institutions have done, like the Ghana Free Zones Board, the Petroleum Commission, the Bank of Ghana, the GRA, they have come up with a practice note to explain certain things, to make things simplified. So if they are also able to come out with certain things, I think it would be helpful, to us. And then probably my last comment that I'll make is to the man from the Bank of Ghana. Sometimes when our clients have registered their TTA and they want to transfer, I think the banks have different, requirements for transferring the money. Some will ask up for the registered agreement, some will ask for TCC, some will ask for other things. But I think if there's a kind of harmony among the banks, so that to be very clear as to what they should provide, so that they will not be asked to go and come and then to delay them, I think that will also be very helpful. So these are the questions that I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that. We'll now take answers to those questions. Yes, you can sit and answer.
Thank you very much. I'll start with wisdom from Deloitte. Your feedback is very welcome, and it is not our intention to make the process unduly cumbersome or burdensome. The law of the GIPC, that's the Act 865 and the LI, set out, as we said earlier, provisions that should be in the agreement and what should not be in the agreement. That is what we insist upon, which some clients find difficult because, as I said, the agreement is drafted by foreign lawyers most of the time, and it's not imposed on the local company, but they're obliged to go by its tenet. So they find it difficult to go back to the parent to have the revisions made. The smoothing of the process is also duly noted. We try very hard to get feedback from our clients and be open to our clients if they have difficulties and questions. I know many of your colleagues are in regular touch with us at the legal division to assist them. On the new regulations, yes, it's been on the burner for a while. The thing is that we intend to review the mother legislation as the Act, because the regulations draw from the Act. And we want to revise the Act first, and then after that, do the new regulations. So please bear with us. We are looking at making significant improvements in the process this year. Now, to do with transfer pricing. When the transfer pricing law was originally passed, we had lots of discussions with our colleagues at GRA on transfer pricing. And there's actually no conflict, particularly between the two legislations. As you bear with me, in all our letters to our clients, on the first page, we write that the GIPC law says that compliance with the GIPC Act does not mean you shouldn't comply with any other enactment. So you're obliged to comply with GIPC and also transfer pricing. So practically what we say is this. If you recall the slide on the thresholds, you have as a client, you have the freedom to choose a percentage. It's up to the client to get professional advice if necessary on which percentage to choose, which is in compliance with transfer pricing. We do not oblige you to choose 1% or 2%, but the client to choose a percentage which is in compliance with the GIPC Act and the Transfer Pricing Act. Now, if you choose a percentage within the GIPC Act, we do not go and check whether that is at arm's length. As Jerry has said, it's your obligation as the client. If versa the agreement and GRA says, well, we can't accept the agreement, you can't use GIP's registration as a defense. So the burden is on the client to ensure that the figures chosen as fees are in compliance with both legislation. Then to Michael of PwC. Yes, we do see a lot of agreements with references to a lot of foreign legislation. Now, many times, the laws that are referenced also have corresponding laws in Ghana. So it's disingenuous to say, well, we'll comply with data processing law of the UK or anti-money laundering law of the US, when the jurisdiction in which the agreement is to be implemented has its own laws on the same subject matter. So when we see that, we'll tell you that, well, Ghana has laws on these issues, so therefore, there should be specific reference to those laws within the agreement. When it comes to other laws, such as Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, we are open to having a discussion, because those don't normally deal with the sections that we are concerned about. But it depends on how it is drafted. So we are open to have a discussion with the clients if they want to reference a specific non-Ghanaian law, what that law is about, how that law will be interpreted, and we'll see whether the spirit and letter of the law or the Ghana law will be maintained if we keep that in. Then to do with trademarks, the reason why we ask for original or certified copies is to prevent fraud. And I know that PwC is a very reputable company and will not submit documents that have been forged. But at the GIPC, we have the unfortunate experience of clients submitting forged documents or documents that have been tampered with. That is why we ask you to please go to the originating authority of the document and get a certified true copy. Yesterday, we had an interagency meeting with the Register General's Department. They've assured us that their Office for Industrial Property is working very hard to smoothen some of these delays in issuing certified true copies of their documents. So as we work with them to make the process streamlined, possibly we could even ask them to confirm quickly whether a document is legitimate or not. We'll kindly crave your indulgence to submit certified true copies of trademarks, because trademarks are integral to the process, and we need to know that it's a genuine document. On BSDOF, I'll leave my colleague to speak about it, and then the practice notes you mentioned, that's a very good point. On our website right now, we have a document on our website which has been, it's been refurbished, it's been improved, and we have a paper on TTAs about how to draft the agreement, what provisions should be in the agreement. I would urge you to take a look at it. As time goes on, we'll have a very comprehensive FAQ page on the website, and as you give us feedback, we'll continue to try to improve the website to have information to assist you, to assist your clients to submit their TTAs. So I'll hand the mic to my colleague to talk about the BSDOF issue.
Thank you, and thank you for your question. So with regards to the BSDOF case, one of the major issues was the fact that prior to the ruling from the courts, GRA was not allowing deductions if you have not registered your TTA. Now the High Court upheld GRA's position, which was that if you have not registered your TTA, then the agreement is not in force. And so all the deductions that were, all the expenses you incurred were illegal, and so we were not going to allow them as deductibles. Now, on further appeal, it was held that no, once there has been services offered and payments have been made, they should be allowed. So now the position is that when you come to GRA and you have not registered your TTA, and you come and you file with us, we are going to assess the records or the returns on that basis. We will find if it is between related entities, because if it's a parent company and a subsidiary, we will then determine if the terms are on arm's length. If not, we will make the requisite adjustments, transfer pricing adjustments, and then you will be assessed accordingly. However, if there are deductions that you have made because of the expenses, we allow them as long as they fall within the proper terms or arm's length provisions. And that's how we are implementing the BSDOF case currently. I do not know if there will be any legislative changes to address it, but currently this is how it is being addressed. What we do as a follow-up is that we encourage the taxpayers to register. We notify GIPC of any taxpayers that have not registered their TTAs so that they can be in conformance with the law. And there are penalties under the GIPC Act that can still be enforced against you for failure to register. And again, as I mentioned, that means you also cannot benefit for the simplified approach under the TP regulations. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll take another round of questions. I see your hands up. But I want us to acknowledge the presence of the Chief Operating Officer of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Nana Dufie-Ado. She's right at the front here. Yeah, thank you. All right. So we'll take our second poll question. So those online, this is a good time to look at your phones, which you're already doing anyway, and answer that question for us. And these are questions online, from our online audience. We'll come back to the floor shortly, but we'll take two questions. This says, apart from being able to legally transfer funds, what other benefits do I gain for registering a TTA? And the second question says, many companies use third-party services such as law firms and audit firms. How do we ensure that we are fully compliant?
Thank you, Joseph. So the obligation to the registration of a TTA is primarily a legal obligation. It's not like other guarantees and incentives and benefits under the GIPC Act. So it's primarily a legal obligation. The benefit, to use the word loosely, is basically that your funds are transferred legally, and then you don't get into issues with the Bank of Ghana, with your bank or with GIPC, and you don't have fines and penalties levied against you. And it's in the interest of companies operating in Ghana to comply with the relevant laws of the Republic of Ghana. We strongly urge that. And in fact, in our work, we depend on the TTAs, but in other aspects of our work, we'll check if you have a tax clearance certificate, whether you have a SNIT certificate, and so on and so forth, to make sure that companies operating in Ghana are in compliance with Ghana legislation. What was the second question?
mentioned third-party services such as law firms and audit firms and how they ensure that they are fully compliant.
Thank you. So, yes, you may use the services of third parties, and if they are reputable professional third parties, it's their job to make sure that you are compliant. But the client, at the end of the day, has the PAM obligation. So, if you have any concerns or issues, we'd urge you to contact the GIPC. If you may think that you are not getting the full scope of advice from your agent or the middleman, please contact us GIPC. We don't charge for our advice, unlike our colleagues at PwC and Deloitte. We don't charge for advice. So please contact us by phone, by email, a walk-in, virtual meeting. We are very happy to hear from you and give you advice, free advice, on whether your documents are compliant or not and what you need to do.
Okay, so the operative word there is free. Free advice from the GIPC. So we'll take 3 more questions from the floor.
Okay, my name is Na Ajoko from Deloitte. I have 3 questions. The first one is there the possibility or an instance where an agreement between 2 local companies may be deemed to be registrable? I ask because there may be an instance where one of the local entities may be providing services on the behest of a foreign partner. So is there the possibility that such a situation could arise? And my second question is on the punitive actions or the sanctions from the GIPC. Are there practical examples of some of the actions you've taken against persons that have been non-compliant or have flouted the laws? And my third question is on the perpetuity of registration. So unlike trademarks or intellectual property, where once you are continuing to license the agreement to the local entity, you register, is there a possibility that the GIPC may say, we think these services you have provided is spent, so we don't think we can provide further renewal of the services, such as managerial or technical? So those are my questions. Thank you.
Yeah. So let's take 2 more, which will be in effect 5 questions.
Thank you very much. Good morning. My name is Anthony Sapon from KPMG. And I would like to go back to the Beverage case, Madam from GRA. You did mention in terms of complying with the appeals court ruling, how you are making it applicable to taxpayers. But when I go through the law, there's one key area which actually relates to the GIPC regulations, which I did not see in the argument GRA put forward. And I'd like to suggest that you take it up, because in the regulations, it clearly says that an agreement which is not registered is not enforceable. So I'm finding it difficult to reconcile how the court, of course, the basis upon which GRA argued was on the GRA Act, and therefore the court's ruling or the judge's ruling based on that argument is right. But I believe that if we were to bring in the regulations from GIP side, which says that an agreement not registered is not enforceable, I cannot see how the judges will rule that still go and apply it. So I think if we're looking forward to raise this matter up at the Supreme Court, that's one area you need to look at that to bring clarity to that area. My second area of comment is also for GIPC in terms of the sanctions and penalties. So if you look at the Bank of Ghana sanctions and penalties, if we were to transfer funds illegally or unlawfully, they are heavier than the sanctions, so to speak, outlined in the GIPC Act. And therefore, some of the practical questions clients will ask you is that, of course, if I don't register and I transfer the funds, I'm able to deal with these penalties outlined in the GIPC Act. But then the usual question is, how do you deal with the BOG one, which are heavier? So I think as you seek to review the regulations, that's one area you need to take a look at. So the heftiness of the sanctions more or less align across the various acts or regulations we have in the country. Thank you very much.
Okay, so now we'll take the responses to those questions, please.
Thank you. I'll start with now from Deloitte on TTAs between two local companies. The key effective trigger for a TTA to register in Ghana is a transfer of fees outside Ghana. That's the main trigger. But we know that there are some very interesting arrangements that companies come out with where the part providing the services outside Ghana, but another entity within Ghana receiving the services and so on. We take it a case-by-case approach. It's not one size fits all. So the event that the companies are within Ghana, if company A versus company B, generally would not be a TTA. But if we see that there are third parties involved from outside the country, we would look at the document carefully, ask the relevant questions, and come to a decision. But generally, if it's between two local entities, no money is leaving the country under the agreement, it will not be a TTA. On sanctions, which was also mentioned by Anthony from KPMG. Yes, so there are sanctions under the law, and as has been said, they are not as hefty or weighty as we would have wished. And in the review of the GIPC Act, we've proposed that the sanctions be significantly increased. So apart from the fines, the summary conviction fine, there are a number of other options open to the center, which includes suspending the registration, ordering the part payment or repayment of any incentives given to the company. Our law says that we can also liaise with the Bank of Ghana, suspend any remittances and so on and so forth. At this point in time, what we are doing is a lot of education to our clients, both local and foreign investors, to urge them to register these agreements. But as we go ahead, we will start implementing the sanctions very strongly. At the moment, we have two staff from the Ghana Police Service embedded with the center. We have a police investigator and a police prosecutor. And we've been prosecuting companies in court, but we haven't prosecuted under TTAs at the moment, but we'll be doing so shortly. That's why we are taking all this effort to educate clients on this legal obligation, so that when we do start the prosecutions, everybody understands that we're giving a lot of time to make their documents in compliance. Now, for perpetual TTAs, yes, so hypothetically speaking, the only TT that may run on for a bit of time would be that for trademarks and trade names. And for all the others, yes, the GIPC, in consultation with the sector regulator, would say, you know what, we think that at this point in time, the services are available locally. And our colleagues from Bank of Ghana in the audience can bear witness that in some instances, for banks, for example, BOG has said, we are not willing to approve the renewal of this agreement, or the period is too long, or change the services, otherwise won't give you approval. So in many instances, in consultation with the regulator, we have told clients that we cannot approve their renewals because we believe that the services are fully and readily available in Ghana. The points about the sanctions from Anthony from KPMG are very well noted. We are intending to increase the severity of the sanctions under our new law. I'll hand over to my colleague from GIB to continue on there. Do you have anything more to add on the BSF issue? No, really. No.
On the appeal court, the High Court and appeal court case, that's a BSF or what? I actually want to add my voice to Mr. Anthony Sapon's submission that it required that GRA should also appeal on this matter, so that we wouldn't have institutions that will be in Ghana and perpetrating illegality, because it is purely an unlawful act to have a TTA which is not registered. That's what our law says. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. Do we have questions online? Okay, so I guess that concludes the Q&A session. So now we'll move back online for... Oh, there's one more question on the floor. All right.
Good morning. Thank you very much. My name is Kwame. I work with the GIPC. My question is to the Bank of Ghana. How is it that companies are able to still transfer money through their branches and their bankers without TTA agreements? You hinted of that in your presentation. And what is the Banking Supervision Department doing about this very worrisome practice? Thank you.
Thank you. You recall in the presentation, I said one of the implications is that this could potentially induce bankers to compromise breaches of processes and procedures. So the Bank of Ghana would not know that transfers have been effected under unregistered TTAs if the narration to the transfer doesn't reflect that this is or is given a different narration. You may not be able to establish that. But I can promise you that the relevant agencies are working together on some of these matters. There are high-profile cases that are being investigated by the Bank of Ghana and then the Financial Intelligence Center and some other institutions regarding transfer of funds, unlawful transfer of funds. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. So online questions. And yeah, so this one says, if I'm a firm in Ghana providing technology services to a mother company outside Ghana, do I need to register my services as a TTA? That seems to be the reverse of what we've been discussing. And number 2 says, for urgency purposes, can an agreement be submitted to the GIPC even when both parties have not yet signed?
Thank you, Joseph. So in the first instance, it appears that the services are coming from Ghana to a company outside Ghana. So generally speaking, because we've learned the hard way that the devil is in the details. You need to see the agreement before you come up with a decision of whether it's a TTA or not. So generally speaking, if services are moving from Ghana to outside Ghana, no fees are being transferred from Ghana to outside Ghana, generally speaking, it's not a TTA. And then the second question is gone off the screen, please.
About an agreement being submitted, but
Yes.
haven't yet been signed by both parties.
Yes, so the form does say that you submit executed agreements, but we are happy to look at draft agreements. And sometimes it's easier for the clients because if you submit a executed agreement, you make changes and you go and sign it, there are issues. So what we say is that even if it's not signed, so long as it reflects the general understanding of both parties, we'll be happy to look at it and give you a legal opinion on whether or not it's compliant. And after we decide that it's compliant, then it can be executed between the parties before registration. So you can submit draft agreements so long as they reflect the understanding of both parties. We have no problem reviewing that document.
Thank you very much, Na, and thanks to everyone for your questions. It's certainly been a fruitful discussion. I'm sure we've learned a lot. We've also learned a lot from you. So now we'll move back online where the CEO of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Mr. Yofi Grant, will offer us a few closing remarks. So we'll kindly watch the screens, please.
Good morning to all of you, and thank you very much for Good morning to all of you, and thank you very much for participating in this webinar or seminar. Indeed, it's very instructive for us that we should be doing this. It's a very opportune time, especially in the advent of the AFCFTA and in the advent of we being more aggressive in attracting foreign direct investments into Ghana. The TTAs definitely serve quite a number of purposes. But I think they are important because at the end of the day, they define a contractual relationship between a parent company offshore most of the time and a local company where the offshore company does not, and may you permit me to use the word, inordinately extract more value from the local company than is permissible or is allowed. And I do agree and concede that every investor and every business person wants to optimize and sometimes maximize their profits. So they will take out, if they invest in a foreign country, they would do their best to get out as much of their initial capital and profits as possible. But of course, I mean, all these have impact on the economy and impact on the local companies. And where there's a regime where you want to grow the local companies and make sure that they have fair participation in the profits of the company or ensure that they can actually expand, it's important that that contractual obligation be also subject to some sort of national scrutiny to ensure that it complies with what we think is the right thing to do. But there are 5 types of technology transfer agreements. There are cooperative and development agreements. There are facility use and service agreements. There are technical assistance agreements. There are material transfer agreements, and there are license agreements. And likely that depending on the type of industry and depending on the type of business, you may have 1 or 2 or 3 of these agreements at play. Indeed, quite recently, we ourselves have come to a point where we see certain relationships really test the law. For example, where it's an asset management relationship where there are other types of services provided, then there is question to clearly see how it fits into the legal regime that we have. But we are very clear that they are still important in the aspect of playing a very important role or in the process of development of a country and of a nation. We are very happy that we see a lot of foreign direct investment, and we do agree that foreign direct investment can be very transformative in bringing, first of all, the fiscal cash capital, but also human capital, global practices, and also other opportunities. They open up other opportunities for indigents to also build their businesses. So they are very, very important. But they also are important in the fact that they actually translate to real-world solutions. When you have a company that has developed a patent or a copyright and licensed projects and processes which they do not want to be infringed upon, it's important to have a certain agreement that will either protect them or enable them to use those to optimize and maximize their profit, but not to the detriment of the company that uses it. So we are happy to constantly engage and get you all in this conference to discuss, debate, and we've taken note of some of the suggestions that are made. What we are trying to do at GIPC is to facilitate at a much shorter time than before. And I must also plead with a lot of the agencies that represent the foreign partners that sometimes it goes back and forth a number of times, and the delays do not come from us necessarily, because it may be sent abroad and it will take 6 months for them to get back. What we are trying to do is to ensure that we can, within 3 months, start from entry to finish the whole process of getting a TTA registered. And we'll plead with you to assist us in that whole journey to make it a pleasant experience and not to have it go back and forth. So I think I'll leave with these few comments. I'm sure together we can come to a very comfortable accommodation on how to execute and execute it in the fastest possible time so that both parties, both the parent company and the local subsidiary, as well as the regulatory agencies, are at the end happy and satisfied that we have those accommodations and arrangements. So thank you very much, and have a good day. And I do apologize I'm not there. I've had to do 2 other conferences almost concurrently, which are just as important. But I'm happy to make these closing notes, and we look forward to seeing you all again very soon. Thank you.
We'll end as we started with the closing prayer. Seram will do the honors.
Shall we pray? We give you praise, Almighty Father, for bringing us to the end of today's gathering. We pray that the successes and the gains of this event will reflect in our work as we strive to grow our motherland, Ghana. May you continue to make her great and strong. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Yes, and your feedback is crucial, so kindly refer to your screens once more for the 3rd feedback question. And as you do that, we thank everyone here for coming. Thanks to our speakers for making these deliberations worth our while. And, pardon? So please remain seated. Apparently there's one more thing we have to do. Oh yes, the most important thing actually. We are bringing you some refreshments, item 13 if you like. So kindly remain seated. Those will be handed out to you. And if you have further questions, on Fridays, GIPC has an initiative which is what Ask GIPC. So you can post your questions there on our social media platforms. We'll answer them for you. So this is the time to network whilst maintaining social distance. Thank you very much for making this possible. My name is Joseph Hansen. Have a great morning. Thank you.